Okay, guys, here's a dresser that I found on the side of the road. It's in pretty structural condition. That's the reason why I went ahead and picked it up, but it needs a lot of repairs. And so I don't know whether this is antique or vintage. We'll call it vintage at this point. But as you can see, the veneer on the top is peeling, so something definitely has to be done about that. They drew a lovely tree on the side. Actually did a pretty good job, but veneer is peeling here as well. And you can see that the backer board needs to be totally replaced. And here are the drawers. I like the ornate details on the front, so I'm going to keep that. But as you can see here, it's chipped right here on the end. And also, guess what? The veneer on the inside is peeling. So I'm going to have to do something about that. Also, the dovetails, as you can see, someone tried to glue them, but they were glued offset. So I'm going to have to address that problem. And you'll also see in a minute where the trim on the bottom of the drawers has been broken off. That's going to have to be replaced. And guess what else? Look at that. Yeah, that's going to have to be replaced too. Demolition time. It's time for the fun part, guys. So now the backer board, I told you it needs to be replaced. It was warped and it was chipping in some places. So I'm just finna pull this thing off. Get rid of all this old wood, old backer board. And I tried to do it with my hands. It's always one that always got to give you problems. I tried to beat it out with my hand. That wasn't working. So guess what I had to use? Here we go. Check this out. Kick it. Kick it. Yeah, we got that piece out. That was so much fun. I don't advise anybody to do that though, but that was fun. All right, going to work on this veneer a little bit. Also going to take the drawer pulls that I had. I'm going to drop them in some vinegar water. Get them cleaned off, get them sewed. Since it's such a pretty day outside, I decided to wash my drawers. That don't sound right. Wash the drawers and the dresser outside since it was such a beautiful day. I said, so it's hot outside. It wouldn't take but a couple of hours to get this washed up and for it to dry. But then I found out that a piece of the dresser was falling apart or breaking apart. So I had to fix that situation. Now I'm back to letting the drawers dry out in the sun. That sounds so weird. Anyway, letting them dry out in the sun. Now the next step that I'm going to get to is going to be addressing this support beam. I'm going to have to take some tight bond glue and to put in that joint and place the supporting beam back. And I'm going to have to tap that in with the mallet, a rubber mallet, so that I can get it secure into place before I can nail it in so that glue can set overnight. Because that's a supporting beam for my backer board as well. So I definitely have to get that fixed. So now let's break out the rubber mallet. And let's tap this baby back in place. I took the sound out because it was kind of loud. Yeah, kind of loud. So we tap that baby back in place. And now I'm going to take my nail gun, put a couple nails through here so that it can support it and hold it in place while the glue is drying. Now those pieces that are supposed to be on those feet were missing. I found two of the pieces on the ground when I picked this up off of the curbside. And then when I get home, I found out that it was 3 pieces I was missing. That's got to be addressed. Now for the drawers where the dovetails were, most of them were pulled apart anyway. So I inserted some tight bond glue into the joints. Took my rubber mallet, tapped them back into place where they're supposed to be. Now it's time for sanding. Put on my mask because I have no clue what's going on with this piece, whether it's lead paint, but I don't have all those fancy gadgets or whatever that you use to try and detect whether it's lead. So to be safe than sorry, let's put on our mask. And I have my work bonnet on. So I'm sanding this piece down as best I can. I believe I'm using 60 grit, then I bumped it up to 80 grit. that drawing that was on there, I don't know what kind of paint it was used, but it was not coming off. This is how it's looking so far with the sanding that I've done. As you see, that picture is still there. But it's looking good so far. Now I use some Durham wood putty. I love this stuff. It's easy to use. It's cheap. So I'm using this putty to fill in the holes. There's a bunch of little, I don't know what kind of insect put little holes or whatever in besides bees, but these were very small, but I had to put that Durham wood putty in those holes. And now in the places where you put the hose the drawers up, well, I didn't have them and didn't have the money to pay for them. So I had to use what I had, took some screws and put it in those locations to hold the drawers up. So now I'm sanding the drawers. Sanding, I hate sanding. This is a stencil that I chose to put on the sides of this dresser. So I took me some spackling, positioned my stencil, and took the spackling and put right over the stencil. This is how it's looking so far. I took me some white wax and I waxed it. Again, this is just the sides. And I waxed the sides before I get ready to go on to my next step. So now what I'm going to do is take a dark green paint, because I've already painted the dresser a sage green, and I'm sorry I missed that footage. But I've already painted it a sage green, and now I'm taking a darker green. And these are colors that I've made up myself. As you'll find out, they're all in certain kind of cans. But I made these colors up myself. So I'm taking the dark green color and I'm just tapping it onto the dresser and letting it run down. I've got a plastic container with nothing but water in it, just water. And I'm dipping my brush in the water and just tapping it over the places where I've put the paint, the dark green paint, and letting it run down the side of the dresser. Now, I've never done this technique before. I've seen it done before, but I thought I'd give it a try and see how it would make this come out, because I wanted to give it a different kind of effect, and rather than just painting it, just a regular color and leaving it that, I want to put some design and some texture on it. So you have the stencil that's on there. You have the white wax that's on there, and now I'm taking this dark green color, and now I'm taking a baby wipe and just doing a dabbing motion all over the side of this dresser to give it a little bit more texture. And like I said, I've seen this done, but I've never done it before. This is my first time trying it, and I think it actually turned out pretty good. So these are the drawers. I took another stencil that had writing on it, some type of French words. I took again the spackling and put that on the drawers, on all the drawers. Now I'm taking a 220 sandpaper and I'm just lightly sanding over the drawers where the writing is, just to knock off the rough edges, the chips. And now I'm going to take that same green, it's a sage green paint that I made up. I usually use plaster of Paris if I don't have any chalk paint, but since I made this paint up myself, I take 1 ounce of the plaster of Paris, put it in there in a bowl, and put a little bit of water, not to water it down too much, but just enough just to break the powder down, just to give it a little water texture. Almost kind of like pancake batter mix. And then, as you will see, yes, this is a Folgers can. But this is what I mix my paint up in. And this, again, like I said, is the paint that I made up, and it's like a sage green color. And so I mix that in with that plaster of Paris, and it gives it a chalk paint appearance, a very matte, kind of ashy appearance, and that's what I was going for. So I dabbed that on the drawers because, like I said, I wanted to have plenty of texture. It had good texture on the sides of the dressers, and I wanted it also to be that same texture to be on the drawers as well. So this is what it's looking like now. Now I'm going to clear wax it, the front of the dresser. Nice buttery soft clear wax. And after I clear wax, again, this footage I didn't show, but I white waxed it behind that. And this is how it's looking. See that beautiful green sage color? And these drawer pulls I found, this is some wallpaper that I had in my stash as well. And I'm going to use that to line the drawers. Boy, that is so gorgeous. I love that going with that green sage color. And this is how it turned out, guys. I really loved it. I took it from broke down to beautiful. Even the texture and that stencil, wow, it just turned out so gorgeous. So tell me what you think, guys. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Thanks.